Hey, welcome to Sales is Not a Dirty Word, the podcast where we help people stop feeling weird about sales because you're helping more people when you sell them. And we have Victor Vento here with us today. Hi, Victor.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Alicia, for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Victor is actually a fellow Coloradan. That's what they're called here in Colorado. And I met him in person at an event, which was really nice because you don't really get to meet all of your online friends in person very, very much these days.
Nope.
So anyway, Victor has a chatbot agency where he helps people use chatbots to close more business faster in less time. Isn't that right, Victor?
Yep, that's true.
So is there a certain type of client that you like to work with?
Yes. So the majority of our clients, I would say they're the majority because we love working with them, are like mid six-figure entrepreneurs. They're usually like some type of online coach. They provide a service as well to an extent. So most people that fall into that category have some type of program. They have some type of superpower that they help people with to advance their career. So like, for example, a branding agency or a video marketing agency or I would say coach or a sales coach or something like that. Like that's kind of who we've worked with. They have their own niches, of course, but we help them kind of bring in more leads, fill their pipeline.
Bring in more leads. Okay. And you use this for yourself, right?
Yeah, of course.
So is that how you're generating leads right now?
Yes.
So is it organic or are you paying for ads on Facebook?
We pay for ads. We also do speaking engagements, and that's kind of how so it's not necessarily, we're still paying because we're sponsoring events and then we're going there and speaking and kind of being seen that way. And that's kind of, I would say more recently in this year is what been taking more of the forefront than paid traffic for us at least.
Okay. And you were saying before that you've started taking a lot of sales calls and your closing rate is about 20% right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So are you pre-qualifying these people before they get on the phone with you? Do they fill out an app or anything?
So they fill out, one of my offerings leads to what we call an automation breakthrough. And during that call, we have them prepare. There is a form we have them like kind of go through, and that prepares them for the actual call. We like people to be ready on the call so that I can help them as much as possible during the call and then provide next steps, whether that's with us or elsewhere. Most of the time, they realize that it's, they want to hear how we can further help them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are qualified, some people are not. So we're not really pre-qualifying them. We're just getting them ready for the call.
Yeah. So is there a reason you're not qualifying them?
It's a great question. I haven't needed to much in the past. Mm-hmm. Most of the time because of the like who we were targeting from ads. So those people were already pre-qualified through that process there. Now with the rise of us kind of being more at live events and sponsoring, we get a plethora of people. So it's, like I can talk to somebody great and then push them there and then we'll schedule something, but they're not going through that normal targeting process of like, they are qualified to some extent because they're at the live event. That means they're investing in their business.
Yeah.
That doesn't always mean they're the perfect client for us.
Right. So do you feel pretty good about your packaging and pricing?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I feel like it's pretty bomb diggity.
Yeah. What are they, the packages and pricing?
So we got two. One is what we call the customer desire formula. It's kind of like a one-off build where we kind of find a way to actually get you to create desire in your customers and fill that pipeline. You kind of take over from there. The other one is what we call the complete automation strategy, where we not only build out your customer desire formula, but we also fill your pipeline for you.
Okay, like with paid ads.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So what are you hearing most often when you're on the phone? Is it like a budget objection?
Yes, I would say a budget objection, and most of the time most people who have tried any Facebook ads themselves in the past have not found success. Say it's too expensive, and they look at it from a perspective of how much am I spending instead of how much am I investing. The people that do really well with us are coming at paid traffic from the point of view of how much do I need to invest to grow my business? Because it's not a magic tool. It's not pixie dust. It is an investment. Like with that data that I'm paying for traffic, I can tell you how many leads you get, how many sales calls you get, and then once you understand your conversion rate, which is kind of what you're helping me do here, that conversion of how many sales calls, because I can't track past the people scheduling. That's when I can tell you, hey, every 7 people that come in, you get 1 call, and every 14 people, like let's say every 3 people that you have calls with, you close 1. So now like that piece becomes, I can tell you exactly how much it is. Let's say you're getting dollar leads. So we're like, oh, every 7 leads. So every $7 we get 1 call. So it costs us $7 per call, and it costs us $21 to make a sale, because of every 3 people. So like I can specifically say that information to you. And the people that are successful with us understand that that's an investment of buying the data compared to I'm just buying eyes or something like that. The other people look at it, the people that don't do well or have not found success usually come at it from a point of view as how much is it going to cost me on Facebook ads?
Yeah. So before, when all of your leads were coming from a very targeted person, so they were more qualified, what was your closing rate out of 10 people then?
It's a good question. It's been a while. So I would say maybe like 50, 60%, something like that. Okay. So it wasn't too bad, but it could have been better. So It worked for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely should have a pre-qualification app for these new people. And, there are a few ways to get at the budget thing. One is asking them what their revenue goals are. And if they're going to say, 100,000 a month, they're probably already at 50,000 a month, for example.
Right.
And asking, how much are they willing to invest, or are you willing to invest in growing your business? Something like that. Since it sounds like that's an issue for you guys too. And once they answer these questions and schedule a call, then you could send that app you're talking about that prepares them for the call. But that doesn't sound like a pre-qual app, but yeah.
Yeah, it was more preparation for the call than anything else, so that I could help them better. We kind of map out, in like 20 minutes, we map out kind of like the one thing that's holding them back, and we break through it so they can kind of see what can be automated here and move on, and so they can kind of take that themselves out of that piece.
Do you ever run into the issues of people not understanding what a chatbot is?
All the time. Yeah, it's so new. It's probably only 3 years old now, but I would say in this year alone has it blown up to people are starting to understand. They're like, oh, I've run into one of those. And that's 2 years, like it's 3 years old. It's probably more than that, but I found it when it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. And
I would say like in the last 6 months or so, it's been like, people are now starting to be like, I know what that is now, but so it's been really hard the first 2 years, really kind of having to overcome that. I didn't come at it from like, you need a chatbot. It's like, you need leads. So regardless of what tool you get there's a variety of ways to fill your pipeline with leads. It's just, this is one of the tools we use. Okay,
so you're more of a lead gen agency then, not a chatbot.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So, sorry, I should have made that distinction.
No. That's totally fine.
So I think it's good to ask probably in the form, are you familiar with chatbots? And if they say no, then maybe have a resource to send them to. Although I think probably they don't care. They just want leads.
Correct.
Yeah. So who cares how you get them leads? So maybe you can ask like, how many leads do you want per month? And that could give you an idea of budget too.
Right. No, that makes sense. That's something I've not thought of before. Just because it's such an arbitrary number, people can say, I want, 100 leads a week or something like that. Like and that's kind of saying, what is it? I need,
like I'd like $1 million.
Yeah, like I'd like $1 million. Like, great. Like, yeah. How are you going to get there? Like what are you doing to do that? And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, so it's kind of like a catch-22. So that breakthrough session, we usually kind of go over what it is they're doing and if they're even ready for someone like us. A lot of the times, I would say in the last 2 months, I've had a lot of conversations with people that are not even ready for what I can provide them. Because if I flood their sales process or their funnel with leads, it's going to overwhelm them, and it's just going to show them that they're not organized enough to manage that or to kind of take that on. And it'll be a waste of money on their end. And I don't want to do that to people. I've done it before in the past early on, and it doesn't make me look good, and it doesn't help them in any way.
Right.
So the best way to think of Facebook ads, I would say, or like what we do for people, is we flood your sales process with, we just flood it. So if you think about it like a bucket, you have holes, you have the bottomless bucket, it's going to just a waste of all that water that's driving in there. So we really take a look at everything else and tighten things up before we actually look at bringing traffic on the front end.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably important to know, are they ready to double the amount of sales calls that they have?
Right.
Like, they have the time. So that should probably be a pre-qualification question.
Mm-hmm.
And then also knowing if they've tried paid lead generation before and what they tried.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Because if they've used Facebook ads before, then you know how you have to talk to the person. They've already had an experience. It's probably bad. That's why they're looking at you. Also, like, if they use paid search, that person's going to be in a different mindset too. Like, that person is actively seeking out someone on paid search. It's usually more expensive than Facebook ads. It doesn't typically involve a chatbot. Or maybe they're doing stuff on LinkedIn, which is also really expensive, and the paid strategy on LinkedIn isn't a great offering at the moment. Hopefully they'll, change that. But those questions will really help you know how to come at the call. Or if they've never done it at all, then it's like more of an education process a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So those questions seem really like, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, that they would help you qualify the person to see if they're a good fit, but also help kind of like how to talk to them in a way that sells them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think if you have those, do you send them to a sales page, or are you just doing this all through chatbot when they schedule a call?
No, they go to a sales page, and then that drives them into a chatbot from there. If they're not coming in from an ad. If they're not coming in from an ad, they're going to some type of page first, and then they're getting, we're starting the conversation via chatbot to kind of move into that.
They're going to a chatbot from an ad?
From an ad, yeah. They'll go directly into, and then there's a lot of other things that I can get into, but just to kind of keep it simple, if they leave that, then we retarget them with another ad that, drives them back in. Right. Or we send them somewhere else, like content related, to help them nurture them a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it would be good for them to be aware of the price of your services ahead of time. But, as long as you're asking what their monthly revenue goal is, I think that might be fine. And you can just let them know if they're not a good fit and say, I want to make the best use of our time, your time, and my time. You don't want to waste y'all's time. So if they're not a good fit, you can send them to these other like content resources that you're talking about, so that they're not just left, hanging, and hopefully get them on a chatbot so that, you can continue to talk to them, and when they're ready, then they can talk to you.
Gotcha.
So when price isn't the objection, what's the objection?
It's like, where do I start? And that's kind of, it's a really weird objection, because it's not where do I start, it's the time commitment. So because if we're moving someone into, for example, our lowest package, the customer desire formula, then what ends up happening there is we require 3 1-hour sessions. Sometimes they're kind of at a point, at least this mid 6-figure entrepreneur, they're kind of like, they're not at the point where they have a full team yet, but they're kind of are. Right. They're like just reaching that point of like, they're going to start bringing people on to help them. So they're still kind of taking things on themselves, and they don't have that extra time. So that's kind of one of the things we go, the way I found to overcome it is kind of saying, we spread it out. And once you're committing 1 hour, let's say 1 hour a week to us to kind of pull that information out of you. And then we take care of the rest to fill everything up. That way it takes even more time off your hands on that side of things. I've been able to overcome it that way, but that's usually one that I get. They're like, well, I don't know if I can commit to that amount of time, because our higher package is like 4 to 6 hours of their time, which, for an entrepreneur in that stage is kind of a lot, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a good way to position that would probably be like, look, I'm going to need the beginning. There's going to be setup.
Right.
So the faster that you want to get leads, we can do that setup all at once, or we can spread it out. But after we set it up, there's going to be no time required from you. It's just in the very beginning. And we like to budget for an hour, but a lot of times it's less than that. So, I mean, like, we're going to want to be as efficient as possible with your time, but that's just necessary to set it up, because we want to make sure that the messaging is true to you and is going to get you the most leads for the least amount of money. So I think that an important thing that a lot of people miss on a sales call is not selling the result so much. So you're kind of talking about like, oh, it's not going to be that bad, and we have to take this hour from you. And, you should just be like, no, we're going to do this so that you get the most. We have time to talk about setting it up so that you get the most leads for the least amount of money.
Makes sense.
And then they're like, oh, okay, it's not like a chore to do, because this is going to get me more leads for less money. And It's only in the beginning. There's an end date on it. And we're going to try to be as efficient as possible. Like, it doesn't always take 6 hours, but we just want to make sure that we have that in case we need it. And obviously we're going to try not to, but as long as you're okay with 6 hours, then you're going to be okay with it. Gotcha. Type of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So are there any other objections that you get a lot?
I have gotten recently, just because of the unqualified people, outside of the money has been like, I need some time to think. And recently I'm starting to love it, because I don't know if you know who Phil Jones is.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, he has a book, and it's one of the things that I say now is, okay, would 2 days be enough? Because what I found is like 3 days is usually enough. That's enough time to talk to people, talk to whoever you do, your partner, your spouse, or whoever. And then like 1 day it feels like pressured. 2 days is kind of like in the mid round, but 3 days is like just the perfect amount, 72 hours for some reason is what I found. But that's one of the ones I've recently gotten is I need some time to think.
Yeah. So when you contact them 72 hours later, are they like, do they say yes or are they just gone?
I've been ghosted a couple times, which to me, I'm kind of like, all right, well, if what the way I take that is like, all right, so not right now. Like,
Yeah, it's a polite no.
yeah,
So a way,
it's I understand it's hard for people to say no, surprisingly,
Mhm.
but I'd rather get a no. And the way I talk to people most of the time, I don't get it as often. Like this month, I haven't gotten it much. It was more like in June. I got a lot more of those. Like I need some time to think, and I was like, all right, well, would 3 days be enough? And then, I'm like, I'll just send a quick email and feel free to, whenever you're ready. No pressure, because yeah, it might just not be right for them right now. It doesn't mean no forever. It just means not right now. At least that's how I take it.
yeah, it is not right now, but it
Yeah.
basically means that there was something like they feel like something's still missing.
Okay.
Usually. So whenever you get done talking about your stuff and how it's going to make them lots of money,
Yeah.
because they're going to have leads,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
then you say, like, does that cover everything or is anything missing? And they'll let you know if something's missing. Like, well, I just don't understand like how this part works, or something like that. And you can say, like, as long as you have the ability to take on more sales calls and the budget to invest, like, this is a fit for you. So let me know if anything's missing for you. And also another way around, like, I need time to think, is let them know, give them a sense of urgency. That's like, okay, well, if you're able to move forward in the next 3 days, I can give you 10% off. And I know that this is going to work really well for you. So are you okay with me following up in 2 days to make sure that you can take advantage of the 10% off?
Hmm.
How does that sound to you? Do you feel weird about that? You look like you feel weird.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of discounting.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. Let's see. I'll see how that goes. I mean, it's not 10%, 10%. It's not a big deal. But I'm more like, I guess in my head, I'm like, does that devalue what I? But I guess that makes sense. You are adding like real scarcity. Like,
Well, maybe not.
hey, this will go away. It's just like it will.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, I can do this thing for you for 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, aside from 10%, if you feel weird about that, you can also add something for free.
Gotcha. Okay.
If that feels better to you, you can say, like, oh, okay, well, I'm able for the next 3 days to throw in this.
Oh, like bonus stack. Okay. Yeah. That I probably feel more comfortable with. I like stacking bonuses.
Yeah.
I have to think on that, on like to what I would do, but yeah.
Okay. So you can throw in that and say, like, are you okay with me following up with you? And when you follow up, you're going to want to mention a success story from one of your clients. Say, like, I just got off the phone with my client, Paul, and he has increased his revenue by like $50,000 on month 2 of working with us. I can't wait to do this for you too. Do you want to move forward and take advantage of this bonus stack that's going to like accelerate you even faster than Paul?
Gotcha.
So it's like, it's not just, it helps them imagine like the end result of what working with you is going to be like. It makes it a lot more tangible.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good way to deal with, what do you think? And another thing that, what is there anywhere else that you feel like you get snagged in the sales process?
I would say, so on the follow-up process past 30 days, I do not at the moment have a way, like when someone has ghosted me, I take it as like not right now. or not with you. But I don't know how to follow up past that 30 days. So I feel like 30 days is enough time to be like, hey, I'm just checking in. Like what's changed, but I don't know how to kind of break that cycle. Not necessarily, okay, so how do I explain this? Not necessarily how to follow up, but like how many times is too much after I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to stop following up.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, of course it does.
Okay.
I would say, honestly, like they're way more likely to buy from you in the very beginning. So you want to try and get them in the very beginning as much as possible.
Right.
Ideally on the call. But I would say like, so at first you're going to follow up a lot more frequently.
Right.
Days. But I mean, at the end, if they ghost you and it's been like 10 days, I have seen this really funny meme that works well. That's like a skeleton at a keyboard. That's like, just waiting for your reply type of thing. And if you send it to them at that point, like they usually think it's funny and will respond and try to work with you more. It's like a funny way of addressing the fact that they completely ghosted you.
Okay.
So I can send you that, but
yeah.
Before that, every time you follow up, I would try to you need to talk about a success story and give some kind of sense of urgency.
Okay.
And then, I mean, they're going on your email list or your chatbot list or whatever, right? So they're getting content and they see that you're, okay, good. Because that can sell them in the long run too. And then you don't need to like personally follow up with them. They'll like eventually reach out. If you're
I've had a person do that and I've stopped reaching out, and then like 3-4 months later, they scheduled again. I'm like, I remember this person because they were on my list. So, and then they became a client. So I was like, oh, cool. So, yeah.
As long as you're bringing value, they can eventually be convinced. But does this feel like it's going to help you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's the definitely like 2 gold nuggets here that I have. Kind of making sure if they're unsure about now or later, they want that time to think. I sounds like I didn't cover everything, so I'm probably like, hey, so is that enough, or did that cover everything? Is something missing? The sense of urgency or the bonus stacking for the 3 days if they do need time to think, and those are the 2 biggest things I feel like I can implement now and kind of see what happens.
Yeah, and
I'm sure it'll increase everything. So
if they say that nothing's missing, I would say, okay, so if you had the budget, you would like invest today, basically. Like there's no reason you wouldn't move forward.
Right.
Like to just check with them and position it a different way. Like, okay, so there's no reason. You're not saying there's no reason for you to need to think, but you're implying it. Like,
right, yeah.
Like, I'm just checking. So you're saying like you could move forward today and be happy. You're ready to get more leads, more business.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And pre-qual, are you not going to pre-qual them?
Yeah, no, I will. That's right. So yeah, pre-qualing before the getting ready for the call is definitely
before they schedule a call.
Yeah.
And tell them no if they're not a good fit and point them to another resource.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I can do that.
Okay. It will save you so much time and them so much time, and you can also be more productive with your time. You can spend that time doing things that generate more business.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there are other things we could do to help your sales process, but I think that this is a really great starting point.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I got to talk to you today. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, same. Thanks.
Okay. Well, talk to you soon. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks.